Hi, everyone. This is Bailey Liu with the Washington State Charter School Association, your host for the Fundraising Learning Series, where I bring in experts to talk about equity driven fundraising practices. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to my mentor and friend, Nashmeen Moslehuiddin, to talk about major gifts. Nashmeen is currently the Senior Director of Development overseeing major gifts in the Midwest for CARE USA. And CARE works around the globe to save lives, defeat poverty, and achieve social justice with a focus on women and girls. She has been with CARE since 2006 and brings 2 decades of fundraising experience in the US and London. Welcome, Nashmeen. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you so much, Bailey.
Thank you. Would you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to stay in fundraising for 2 decades and with CARE for the last 16 years?
Sure. Well, I think fundraising for me personally, it goes hand in hand with the mission. I'm a very mission-driven, mission-focused person. So I can't say the same if you ask me to fundraise, for example, for something else. And I think every cause is worthy, but I think for me, the humanitarian aid piece and saving lives piece is really, really critical. And that's why I've been fundraising with CARE. And of course, over the years, I've become so close to so many donors who now feel like family, feel like friends. So it's hard to give that up. And 16 years sounds like a long time, but it goes by quickly when you're having fun. Personally, my dad was an immigrant. We're from Bangladesh. And the story is so personal because CARE's story is helping people achieve their potential, right? Their untapped potential. And my dad was one of 10 in a rural village in Bangladesh. And he was very self-triggered and self-excited to go teach and learn for himself. And one day he saw an organization teaching school at his village, and he found a way to be in the school. Like literally, he was the one walking a mile a day to get to school. So when I think to his story and what a little bit of help from an organization did for him, literally changed the course of his life. And I think about the life I have, it's truly, I owe it to him. And what he succeeded in life just goes hand in hand to kind of why I'm so passionate about CARE, because I truly think when you are able to give people a voice that they're not able to sometimes, it just opens up so many doors for them. So thank you, Dad.
Thank you for sharing that inspiring story and just sharing your passion with us. I know how diversity, equity, inclusion is personally and professionally important to you. How do you ensure that donors are bought into the journey authentically while you have this need to meet your fundraising goals?
Such a good question, Bailey, and so hard to answer. Like I wish I had a simple answer for it, but I think the reality is that we're all grappling with it and we want to say yes to everyone, but we really have to look at the communities we're serving and what do they stand for. CARE, for example, we're defending dignity. We want all women and children having dignity for themselves. And are we doing that ethically for ourselves in our organization, for example, right? So I think we took a hard look at, our board, how many people of color are in the organizations, because I do think change has to start from within your organization. We kind of started looking at all the stats, and CARE, I think it's still a work in progress, but we have a website now where we're really highlighting why diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging is the whole Debbie piece is so important to us. And that's something new. It's kind of a given, but we never said it out loud, but we're truly saying it out loud and we're trying to involve our donors. So for example, I think oftentimes a lot of donors want to go overseas on their own time and money, but they're truly doing it as a fulfillment of their own life. Like I gave this much money, so I just need to go tomorrow on a plane and I want to hand out pencils to a school for something like that, right? It all sounds reasonable, but you have to kind of take a few steps back and think about what is the motivation behind this donor wanting to do it. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling purpose, right? So I think we are getting better at saying no to certain things that we just don't think is a good fit with our ethics and for the communities that we're serving. Same to media opportunities and for donors who say I need my money used in this way. If it ethically doesn't make sense or align with CARE's vision and mission, I think we still have a way to go, but I truly think sometimes you have to say no but educate that donor. We don't want to say no to good dollars that could be changing lives and saving lives. but really kind of coming around to an understanding with the organization you're trying to support, why we need to put more power back into the communities and the economies where we're working versus us taking the credit, right? And the donor taking the credit. Of course, it's their dollars, but we need that magic to stay in the community and happen in the community. So yeah, we've worked really hard. We've added more people of color at our board.
Thank you so much for sharing CARE's journey on DEI. And I love something you said that was really important is we got to give power back to the community, right? Or at least acknowledge and center that they have power. And we can't just continue to have these like poverty tourism in the nonprofit space. I'm curious to like dive even a little deeper. What are some ways you have educate donors in this regard, providing a rationale? Like, what other ways have you engaged donors in your DI effort? Just love to learn more.
We had someone who's a fairly new donor to CARE who wants to go and take a media group with her, and she wants to hand out like a meal, or she wants to hand out some pencils at a school on a weekend, for example. So I do think that it's very self-fulfilling and it's not conducive or right for the community. So we had to take a step back and say, hey, we really want you to go see a CARE program, but think about how you're doing it. It makes a lot more sense if we visit them while they're at school and we're observing them doing their thing. They don't need to make a showcase for you or come out on a weekend to get some pencils, for example, because that's really to fulfill your need. And you want some photographs for some kind of a media blog or a social media account like that. That is not what CARE is here to do. We are here to empower communities to take charge of their lives and make them successful, right? So I think it just really just talking, rationalizing. There's many ways. We have a lot of videos now. We get really good data from the field. I think truly giving donors those data, those statistics, those talking points, they have come around and said, okay, I get it. Let us decide what's right versus the other way around. And I will say some donors say okay, and some donors are like, what are you talking about? I want to do it the way I want to do it. You have to kind of make that judgment call on how you'll move forward. So
It's a really difficult question and challenge, right, in the nonprofit space, and we're all working at it from different angles. But I appreciate that there's a movement right now to change those practices, and I appreciate you sharing your journey and sharing what CARE is doing in your space, because we can do better, right? So thank you so much for sharing all of these your terrific ideas and strategies, and I'm just so grateful for your time and for you being here today.
thank you so much, Bailey. This was such a pleasure. It's just absolutely wonderful.